Oh my god, tell me what to do.
This year's Haunting event is the best Warzone event we have ever seen throughout the life cycle of this game, and it's got me thinking. I've covered most, if not all, Warzone events on the channel, so what makes this event or any event engaging and well, fun to play? So let's take a closer look at the 3 things I believe makes Warzone events fantastic. Let's start with challenges, which for most people are the focal point, the determining factor of whether an event is incredible or awful. But I don't think challenges alone make or break an event personally. I think there's a couple of other factors that interlink with them, but we'll get to them in a little bit. We've experienced a fair few events at this point, and they all tend to follow the same broad pattern. Here are a set of challenges themed on an event, whether that is Halloween or 80s action heroes or hunting for Adler. Go out and complete them and you get a reward. When phrased like that, it does not sound like Warzone events are anything to shout about, and you'd be right. If the challenges are too easy, people finish them and are left wanting more. Too hard and players get incredibly frustrated and don't bother completing them at all. For example, the numbers event that happened a few weeks ago was so easily completed it could be done in one match by flying vaguely near the broadcast stations, not really much of a challenge. On the other hand, you had things like the trick-or-treat loot boxes from last year, which were so unpredictable in location, you could spend hours searching some locations to no avail. I think most people would fall into the category of preferring challenges to err on the side of being too difficult than too easy, so at least there's something to aim for and work towards. But there has to be a mid-ground for these challenges somewhere, and this is what I think this year's Haunting has done really well. The challenges are straightforward in nature, but they require you to contest with other players to complete them, instead of racing enemies to contracts or to points of interest, and the people you stumble on across the way are more annoyances rather than what you're hunting. You have to outplay your opponents to get kills as a ghost or human, and you have to concentrate to get a top 10 placement with ghosts bearing down on you as you try to rotate. The challenges themselves aren't that difficult, but they utilise the RNG you'd expect to see in a battle royale to make simple steps a lot trickier than initially expected for the average player without being too disheartening. Many may stop here and see no point in considering what else makes an event fun and captivating, but I think there are 2 other factors that create a fantastic event, and one of these are points of interest. New POIs for events can be such massive parts in determining whether I find them engaging. Are they just unreasonably noisy broadcast stations in the numbers event, or are they Rambo's camps or a whole new building as we saw in the 80s event? Even the Haunting has its own POIs within the game mode in the form of Sacred Grounds. And POIs are always going to be hot drops in the initial stages as people, check them out, complete challenges, but after that hype dies down, are they still engaging without the challenges? Is there still interesting fights to be found in the ship that arrived with the dark wave and the zombies that were aboard? Or is there a new place entirely to fight your enemies like Nakatomi Plaza? Or are they just worthless after the challenges? No value, nothing to add to the game. I'm a firm believer that POIs for events should add something to the standard BR mode which they're in. They should encourage people to land there, even if just to loot up and use it as a starting point. They should encourage people to wiggle their way through the map towards them because they know they can be used for cover, or to scavenge armour plates or ammo. And quite frankly, not enough of these events do that. And that is where the premise that events are only useful for the challenges and that they're not useful at all afterwards resides. There has to be a reason for people to at least want to revisit POIs once every few matches, and that's not the case with so many events that we've seen. So we need actually challenging challenges, engaging POIs that bring something to the game other than being event objectives, but this last element is what separates the Haunting event aside from the rest, and that is an event-specific playlist. Event-specific playlists work fantastically for maintaining an interest in an event, they add new concepts to the game, and people want to keep dropping in even after the challenges are complete because it's fun to do so, it's something different, it's a novel way to spend your time. And obviously the Haunting has this custom made game mode specifically created for Halloween with nighttime Verdansk and ghosts and sacred grounds. It has a whole host of items to keep you coming back after the POIs have been explored, and certainly long after the challenges have been experienced. It creates whole different playstyles and moments and dynamics we don't get to experience in normal BR. It's so wonderfully laid back, even when it's terrifying. No one truly expects to win. We're all just here to get scared and survive for as long as possible. The map is lighted beautifully with a wonderful mix between the darkness of the nighttime and just enough light to make out friend or foe. The ghost playstyle, in my opinion, is super engaging. It feels like a more refined playstyle than the zombies one we saw in the previous year. Now obviously, this raises some questions like, why don't we get this with every event? Are the developers just being lazy? And well, no. The devs aren't being lazy. It takes months to put together an event like The Haunting, and it's their premium event on the calendar, hence why it sits at the top of my list of the best events. But that doesn't, in my opinion, mean that there aren't map changes you could make to make events more engaging past challenges and new POIs. There's a whole host of already in-game features that you could tweak, change for events, produce entirely different experiences just for those 2 weeks, such as health and loot and what weapons are allowed. There are ways to create unique, engaging experiences across a specific playlist for an event that would keep players coming back, even if your event POI is just a few trucks around the map. The community loves novelty. I love novelty, whether that be a sniper and shotgun playlist like we've seen, or a full-blown Haunting playlist. I truly believe what it takes is just a little bit extra to keep players engaged for the literal 2 weeks that events last. The Haunting does this fantastically, and obviously this is their big budget high-end event like I mentioned earlier, so I'm not expecting that every season is going to be like this, of course, but just something. Let's switch it up, add a little pizzazz to the game every once in a while maybe. You've already got us running around listening to numbers, at least make it pistols only or something entirely stupid to make it amusing and more importantly fun. But that is just my opinion, and maybe I'm alone in that, so I would like to know your thoughts on what makes a good Warzone event in the comments below. Also, before anyone comments that I didn't include the Battle of Verdansk and Verdansk 84 events, this is because they were like reveals and not challenge based events. If you do want to see more of these types of breakdown, in-depth videos, let me know, or just hit that like button to give me an indication of what you're feeling on it. If you are new here and you want to find your way back, hit that subscribe button with the bell on for when YouTube decides to deliver some notifications. As always, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Don't you know the rules of scary?